Hello, this is Matt, Rich, and Tom from Brass Comet, and welcome to another episode of the blog. Today we're going to be talking about Facebook advertising, um, answering a couple of questions about scaling adverts and lead generation. So stick around for that. A bit of housekeeping first. If you're watching on Twitter or Instagram, head on over to Facebook or YouTube to get the full length of the clip. So let's kick us off. Can one of you talk a little bit about what is Facebook advertising and who would use it?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and say that sort of Facebook advertising is great for anyone that is a business, really. Like Facebook is a huge platform. It's used by over 2 billion people every month, I think now, concurrent users. So a huge portion of your audience is going to be on Facebook. So if you ignore it, it's potentially risky for your business. And advertising is just a great way to sort of expand your audience, because you can have people who like your page already and they'll see sort of organic content that you're posting, but you want to also appeal to wider than that. So Facebook advertising is a great way to do that. And it's a bit different than normal marketing, where if you're advertising somewhere else, like on a billboard or something, you have to appear to everyone and just hope your sort of demographic audience is in there, sort of sample size somewhere. Facebook advertising, you can choose who you're showing the adverts to, so you can really refine, and it uses your budget a bit better, really, because you're not say you're selling a female only product, you can just show it to females. You don't have to show it to every 50% males, 50% females. That's a really simple explanation of it, but it just gives you an idea of you can refine in on your audience.
So do you need anything to set this up, or if you are a business owner, is it fairly easy to do?
Yeah, it's this ceiling cap on it is quite high, so it's really simple to set up. All you need is a Facebook account, and then you can sort of make a business page to show the adverts through, and the sort of Facebook's click-through options that will sort of give you a default thing. But if you really want to get in detail and sort of start targeting audiences and doing things with the Facebook pixel in terms of retargeting, then it's a lot more in depth, and there's quite a big system and quite a lot of options and things you can get really in depth with. So yeah, anyone can jump in and do it, but to really get involved with it, there's quite a lot going on. So
if you say you had a marketing budget and you weren't currently doing any marketing, do you think Facebook advertising would be a good way to go as a first step, or is it good used in conjunction with other things as well?
I think if I'll just dive in on that one, Stevie. I think it it really depends on what it is you're selling. So if it's something that is really, as Steve was saying earlier, something that is really general, that you just want to get the name of the business out to as many people as possible, then you might want to look at maybe some more traditional means, depending on your budget, obviously, of just putting it in an advert or a billboard. But when it comes to something that there is a specific audience for it, this age range, this gender, this kind of income level, if it's
personal interests as well.
Yeah, personal interests. If there's kind of any sort of stuff like that, you want to target specific audiences, then I think it's kind of one of the much better ways to really kind of get your product out there to the people who actually want to buy it, rather than just kind of going wide and hoping that it hits enough people.
Yeah, so it's you're talking about sort of brand advertising more so than anything specific. But yeah, Facebook is good for both, really. A lot of people use it, and you probably do it, just sit at home, scroll through your Facebook feed every now and again and stuff like that. So it's a good way to just do branding adverts. But yeah, it's definitely really good for the specifics, and if you've got a strong niche that your business is in as well.
I think also if you're trying to run a particular campaign, you want to advertise a particular sale or a particular event, say around the themed events like Christmas and Halloween and stuff, it's probably quite good for that.
Yeah, and it's also good just because you can sort of set your budget. You don't have to if you were gonna go for a billboard or something, using that as an example again, you're gonna have to pay a set fee, and it's potentially gonna be a chunk of money. Whereas Facebook ads, you sort of can scale up and down based on how much you want to spend. So yeah, there's quite a low entry point of budget as well for Facebook advertising, which is another good way. Going back to the original question of people just starting out with marketing, it's quite good for them due to the low like budget cap really to get involved with it.
Yeah, I mean that's something if you're kind of looking at billboards or magazines or TV or radio, that's something there isn't really kind of a lower limit where you can just try it out. You have to have a larger budget just to kind of try it, get in for the first time before you even really know how effective that specific campaign is going to be. So Facebook advertising, as Didi says, kind of gives you that lower threshold to kind of trial things out and see what kind of marketing and messaging really kind of clicks with your target audience.
Yeah, and I think just before we jump into the questions, it's like kind of a general point, like maybe back to the first sort of question you asked, like with Facebook advertising, you can get really in depth with it. So you can do things with like the Facebook pixel in terms of like retargeting or creating like lookalike audiences. So like just a quick example of like one of each of those, like you can retarget ads. So someone goes on your website, adds something to their basket, but doesn't actually like check out and buy it. You can actually show an advert to those on Facebook, so like maybe with like a free postage offer or something like that, because something might have put them off going through like the checkout thing. So that's a good way to like increase your conversions or something like that using the Facebook pixel. But you can also sort of take everyone that's ever purchased off your website or like filled a form in or something like that, and then you can tell Facebook to find other people with like really similar profiles, so they're people that are more likely to like go through that action again through your store. So yeah, like if you're selling or like promoting an event for Christmas, like we just discussed about, you could like create a lookalike audience based off anyone that's attended or clicked on your first like website, and then Facebook will expand that and like find other people. So you'll find that they're like gonna be interested in Christmas as well, because Facebook like knows that about us. So
yeah, hopefully keep this warm, like warmer leads than you would typically expect.
yeah, I think like Facebook finds like you can set the brackets where you want between like how similar a person it will find. So like it's, I think by default it sets like 1%, 2 to 3%, and then like 3 to 5% like in similarity to like your audience, your original audience's profile. So you can find like people who share like similar interests within like a 1% range to you. So you can do quite a lot of different stuff with it.
I think actually some of the questions we did have on this are kind of going into that detail, so I'll just dive in and ask one of them now. We got a question from James Hussey on Facebook. What's the best way to scale adverts after you find one that looks to be working, kind of specifically for e-commerce? Do you duplicate the ad with a new budget, or do you increase the budget of the one that's working, or what's kind of the best approach?
Yeah, so the answer to like most of these questions are going to be sort of like trial and error. You should like split test everything with Facebook. There's no definitive right or wrong way, and it's going to like vary for everyone, like based on like what they're doing initially and things like that. In terms of like comparing like the two that he mentioned, like presuming you're doing everything like good with your like Facebook pixel and your retargeting and stuff like that, not like scaling it by making it better to increase the conversions, you like could look at increasing the budget, so you're showing the advert more to that audience or reaching more of that audience, or sort of approaching new audiences. Yeah, you've got a split test, but like one of the things maybe to look at with increasing the budget in one audience is you get a frequency level on Facebook, and that's like it starts at 1, and like a frequency of 1 would be everyone in your audience has seen it like once only, and the higher that number goes, the more they're going to see your advert like more times. So if it's like 2 or something like that, they've each seen it twice. So you want to try and keep that as low as possible, really, because if it's like really high, you're not getting many conversions, then scaling more budget into that audience is potentially a waste, because they've already seen it a few times and they still haven't clicked on it. It's either maybe your copy doesn't appeal to them or something like that. But yeah, just keep an eye on that frequency when you're like trying to test scaling within the audience, because yeah, like I said, it's kind of a waste just showing the same person the advert over and over again. If they don't want to click it, they're not going to click it no matter how many times you show it to them, really. So
I guess if you
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I guess if you are duplicating the advert as it was in the question, then the chance that it's being shown to the same people again is higher, because it's you can't kind of track that frequency as easily as if it's just one advert with a bigger budget then.
Yeah, so I think like when he says duplicate the ad with a new budget, it's kind of like pertaining to sort of appearing like resetting the audience. So like going completely off. So say you've got like a successful ad in this audience and sort of it's converting well for you. You can like duplicate that and like presume the advert's working well and like show it to a new audience and hope like that they pick it up as well, or just spend more money in that particular audience and hope it reaches more people and sort of increases your conversion rates that way, or like sales that way. So those are like the kind of two ways you'd scale it. But yeah, you just got to test it really. Like you're never gonna know until you give it a try. Like it's different for everyone, kind of thing. I just would say, yeah, be careful with like showing or like increasing your spend on that particular advert in that audience, just because you're eventually going to hit like a cap where you've like shown it to everyone in that audience, and like potentially they've already bought off you. Are they going to buy again if it's like one product? Like there's a lot of
diminishing returns of that.
Yeah, that's like the correct phrase for it, I guess, from what I'm trying to explain. So yeah, just split test it, but yeah, just be careful with the frequency level.
One of the other questions we had as well was what kind of adverts work best for lead generation? So in regards to kind of building email lists, video posts with a link to a landing page, or story posts with a link to a sign-up form, or just kind of a mix and match. So what's kind of the best way to kind of get some people to kind of join your email lists, or just to get some new lead generation?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing, if you're talking like specifically mailing lists, is you've got to offer people something of value for them to give you like their email. Like they are giving you something, their email. You've got to offer something back in return. So maybe something like he suggested with the PDF or something like that. And it's potentially like, well, it's got to be of value to them. So they've got to see what you're promoting and like exchange their email for your resources. Really, you can't just expect to like show them your mailing list and say please sign up, I do like these good things, and then expect them to too much. There's got to be like sort of an exchange in their mind of like them getting value for them giving you the email. Because I don't know about you, but like I'm always really reluctant to sign up to mailing lists because there's nothing worse than ending up on one that just like spams you constantly, or like stuff you don't really want, and it's quite like sales pitchy and stuff like that.
I guess one thing we have seen that like a discount code or something like that is something you could kind of give away if it's a e-commerce style. Even if you want to get them on your mailing list for new products, giving away like a discount code, a one-off use type thing, might be something that was kind of giving value back to get people onto that list.
Yeah, I value those mailing lists where they let you know news and things that you can engage with if you want to, but they sort of treat you as well to coupon codes that are specific to the mailing list, and I find that's quite a good incentive to sign up.
Yeah, so I think like in terms of promoting that, if like we're looking back at like sort of how best to like assuming we're promoting a resource now that they are getting, or like they're getting some kind of benefit from like signing up to the mailing list, after that like video is a really good way of like engaging with people, because people tend to like consume videos a lot more. It's a lot less effort. That's why we do the vlog for like viewers, just to like click play and listen to it rather than having to read it or like stop and read it. So like maybe use a video. Again, it's like testing. You've just got to like test, like each audience is different, like depending on your niche and things like that, you're going to find difference between what your audience want to like engage with. So sorry,
You've got a bit of a cold at the moment, haven't you?
yeah, it sounds like Rod Stewart. Yeah, so video is like a really good way of getting people to like engage with your adverts and things like that. Let me take over.
Yeah, cool. So is there anything else you want to add to for Facebook advertising, Tom?
No, I think we kind of covered. As Stevie said, there's so much to it, so it's kind of one of those things where there's not really a one size fits all solution. It's one of those things where you have to actually put the time in to run multiple different campaigns, split test it. You have to write your copy, rewrite your copy, find new imagery, record videos, record new videos. There's just a lot to go into kind of finding what fits. So it's one of those things that it does just take a lot of time, and I think we've seen from ones we've run, and when we run for other people, that you can get a lot of value out of doing them. It's just making sure that the messaging is right and that you're doing the right things. So it's definitely one of those things where it's not as easy as just kind of doing it or not doing it. You kind of have to commit to it, and you have to get a lot of the knowledge yourself. And that's why sometimes it is hard. It is easier to kind of get someone in to help you run those things, just because it is time consuming, and you need to kind of be on it, managing it constantly to see where the spikes are, and to actually kind of really get the best out of it, you need to kind of make that commitment.
Yeah, it's a very in-depth world. Like, you've got to sort of generate good copy for your adverts, so like the images and like the text and things like that. So that's going to take you time, and maybe like you haven't got the resources in terms of the tools and things like that. So you've got to consider that. Like your experience with like marketing, like potentially other people are going to know how to market things differently to you are. Then you've got to like sort of know the like Facebook UI and things like that, and how it all works, and like how to create an audience, and like install the Facebook pixel and things, and then like also monitor the advert. So it just becomes a question of your time, really, like as a lot of things with business. Like your time is valuable. You can use that time better doing what your business is set up to do, rather than like learning how to create a Facebook audience and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely like one thing to consider. And like, just to give an example of like the split testing, like why it's important, like its potential, like a video advert does work really well compared to just like a text and static advert. But like if your audiences are like quite different types of people, and like to stereotype here, if your niche is in sort of like sports equipment and things like that, then your audience may be more like set up to watch a video. Whereas if you're appealing to like authors or sort of like book fanatics, then you could use a text advert, and they're probably going to be more likely to read it than the like sports audience. So there's not one definitive answer to what's better. It's just a case of like finding what's good for what you're promoting and to your like what audience you're promoting it to. So you've got to like split test everything in each of those conditions, really.
Cool. So have we got anything else to add?
No, I think that's
Move on to our current projects.
Yeah.
So this morning we had a new site go live. It's a shop in the square. I think we'll put the URL in the description of the video. Rich, I know you've been working on a lot on that recently. Can you tell us a bit about what that is and how it's been different to other projects we've run?
Yeah, so it's an e-commerce site, which is pretty like sort of standard. We've done a few before, but this sorry, I've gone now. This one is like slightly different, just because it has a collective of retailers like all uploading their products. It's not just one store manager. I think there's about like 20 something different designers and retailers, all with like individual items and things like that, managing their sort of side of the shop. So we've had to like set it up in a way that they can all add their own products and do what they need to in terms of like postage and things like that, but without being able to sort of interact with the other people's products and things like that. So yeah, it's been an interesting project, and yeah, we'll put a link to it in the description of the vlog actually, so people can go and have a look.
Yeah, go check it out. That'd be great. And we're starting a new site as well. I think you've been working on one fairly recently.
Yeah, so there's it's like it's going to be an e-commerce site again, and it's for like a glass maker. So she makes like sort of ornaments and things like that with glass, and I think she does sort of you can have like ashes of a loved one or something like that put into like a glass ornament. So it's like quite nice.
More individual items.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get it sort of live quite soonish. It seems like it's on the go now, so over the next few weeks hopefully it'll be all sorted out and done. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one as well.
Yeah, it's going really well actually. The design on the home page is looking really nice on that one, so that's a really cool site. So look forward to getting that out in the next couple of weeks.
Cool. And so the topic for next week is e-commerce and selling online, which is relevant to those two sites we've been doing. But yeah, anything else to say, guys?
I just will say, like at the end sort of thing, if you did want to like talk to us more in detail about like your specific Facebook ads and like, or run anything like really specific by us, so we've kind of just answered things with like, you got a split test, like bear a couple of things in mind. But if you did have like some really like sort of bullet question that you wanted to ask, yeah, just like send us a message by like private message or something like that. We're like happy to take a look and maybe sort of give our thoughts on like your copy and like your audience setup and things like that, and like any kind of recommendations as to like how to improve it or scale it and things like that, really specific to what you're actually doing. So
yeah, and if you've got any further questions for the e-commerce and selling online topic, please send those in anywhere on the comments on the Facebook post, or yeah, anything.
Yeah, I think that's that's all good for me.
Cool.
Excellent. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
See you later.